Alright, good evening everybody. 10:30 here, North Queensland, Australia, and a lovely evening and day of light rain, including yesterday. Nice light rain, which will be very much needed up this far north. I realise down south, on the other hand, there's far too much rain, or has been, but we definitely needed it up here. So it's good to have it. Mind you, it does mean I will have to do some real world outside duties in a couple of days, namely mowing the lawn again. Alright, hey Noel and Jim. Jim's first here tonight. That's a nice change. Okay, I'm just going to plug my phone in so that it charges while I do this. It's one of the few times I actually get to charge my phone without constantly having to carry it around with me and just missing out on the charging. Okay, so we have this A1398, and I'm pretty sure this is a 3332 once more, and it also has no display, but this one's a little bit different. I'm just going to bring up the job data, so job 1230, 1253, 1230. Okay, so it says here, screen backlight not functioning due to fuse that has blown, diagnosed by such and such a person. Screen itself is working as it has been plugged into an external screen with HDMI cable. Okay, there's a bit of a technical term there, mishap. What they're saying is the GPU is working, but the screen is not guaranteed to be working. Fans are quite noisy, and also speakers are blown, so they sound like they are suffering flatulence. Alright. Also, when doing trackpad move with triple finger swipe, all the desktops on the screen can sometimes freeze, and when it comes back to life, it's had a fault with duplication of desktop, blah blah blah. Okay, I don't know about the OS triple finger thing causing the freeze, but this being a 3332, at least I believe it is, we certainly probably going to have a U8900, and yep, that's a 3332. The speakers, well, we did that the other night, and I'll just have to order some more for this one, but yeah, at least we can try and get the screen sorted out. Hey Bunty, Steve, Ayub, Travis, hello Travis, Full Wave, Hakan. Yeah, let's get this thing out of here. So battery is disconnected. Obviously it's a third-party battery. By the way, I will probably be streaming a little bit less in, starting from the day before yesterday. There is a tremendous amount of jobs in my queue that keep turning up. Every morning it's yet more. So I need to prioritize on those, because I can sit here and chat and I'll get 2 or 3 machines done in chat, and yeah, that's pretty good going. But at the rate these machines are arriving, I need to be tackling 5 or 6 a day at the moment, so I'm gonna have to cut the streaming down a little bit. I will sort of maybe do 1 machine every 2nd or 3rd day. Yeah, maybe I'll get a little carried away and do another one, but overall, do not be surprised if I'm not quite a frequent streamer as I was before. I said, it's nothing against anybody, it's just a case of when you are chatting, it does delay the process. The other problem is that when you're chatting, well, when I'm chatting, I will say fix a job and then put it to the side and we'll go get another one. Whereas when I am doing normal workload, I will tend to go through a more extensive process after I've fixed the machine. I'll prep it for the ultrasonic, I'll probably do the ultrasonic, do up all the write-ups, all that. So there's a lot of other stuff that can't really be shown on the stream that takes 10-15 minutes either way. And it gets missed out, and what happens is it has this tendency of piling up, and so I get these fixed machines in my queue, in my slots, and I sort of come back to them a bit later and I go, oh crikey, I forgot about that, and I have to do a mad rush and catch up again. Hey Alexandra, DJ, got back from the flea market, got another iMac for 30. Hey, that's pretty damn good. Which iMac did you get? Is it one of those Technicolor ones or a more modern one? You also got a 17-inch Toshiba laptop. Crikey, that's got to be ancient. What is that, a 870 or something? I can't remember. Those things, yeah. Is it a... It starts with Q, doesn't it? Sort of a special branding that Toshiba had for their high-end units. Jim, yeah, it's mostly B2B, but there's also enough direct that, you know, collectively it's quite a workload each morning. Hey, g'day Coda. Phil, what do you want to be called today? What's upside down? Alrighty. Is he gonna come out? Nope, nope. Always catches me out, this one last screw. Dink, dink, dink. Yeah, nope, there's another screw. And I'm not even drunk. Hey, Ed Boss. Just don't call me late for dinner. Damn it. Sometimes you can get it out without. Not this time, Paul. Not this time. There we go. So I'm hoping this will be U3200. U3200? U8900. Big difference there. Don't even know where I got 3200 from. Hey, JCT. 1230. And there's very little point in me streaming during the daytime around here. I think I am lucky if I get 60 viewers during the daytime stream. Not that I really get much of a chance to stream during the day. There's just too many couriers, people, jobs. I got to pack, got to go down and ship the jobs out, all that sort of stuff. So it's quite rare for that to happen. We will check for other possible issues, but I'm fairly sure that this will be U8900, being a 3332. See, is this the 13 or the 12 here? 2.6, this is a 12. Hey, Tony W. Advertised a PS4 Pro on my community wall. There's some dude who's clearly a fellow said I wouldn't buy anything from you, I don't trust your group. Nice. God, what an asshole. Yeah, I mean, geez, okay, fine, have your opinion, but crikey. What, you just, almost like he just had to let that out on you, didn't he? What a jerk. You could have always said, hey, there's a warranty on it. Alrighty. So, yep, this is U8900. This is the classic shoe rubber type fix that Apple likes to apply. But this one doesn't have the shoe rubber on it. But basically the problem is that these connections here, they don't really have a good bonding to the chip itself. So things get a bit intermittent and it causes the display to blank out. Now the reason why this has happened is probably because it's an extremely large board and there's a lot of thermal sinking mass around here. So when you're waiting in the reflow oven for this, all these solder pads to melt from paste, sometimes you just don't get enough heat into everything. The soaking isn't long enough, and as a consequence you get a sort of a barely passable wicking of the solder onto either of the parts. So what we do here is we actually rectify the wicking so that it does make a proper connection. So we don't need to reflow it. Hey, Daniel Laser. So yeah, first thing we're doing is just going to warm up the board a bit. The reason why we don't like to reflow this one is because it does have the GPU directly underneath or nearby, and if you reflow that, it can cause some dramas. Now, speaking of dramas, I am thinking I really need to start looking at replacing PCHs on things like 3332s and similar, like that one we had the other night, because they're not too much bigger than some of the chips I've already been dealing with. I will need to preheat the board, but I think it's within the realm of possible, and I do have enough spares that I can take PCHs from that have failed for other reasons, like GPU failure or something like that. Alright. Now, we're not going to be able to get that solder down properly the first time around. We're just going to sort of lay the foundations, and then we can come back and turn on the fume extractor so that I don't get myself a whole bunch of emphysema. Yeah, so we're going to leave some bridges there. We're just, basically just getting the leaded solder in. Maybe gobble up a few parts that we're not supposed to. Turn the board around, and then what we do is we come back with the hot air, and it will assist us in doing it properly. So now we can do the hot air assist. And things go much smoother. You try to do this with a pencil on its own, you're going to probably create connections that are even worse than the factory ones. But if you bring in the hot air to help you, then you'll get better than factory. The joyous W8 bends. That's fun. Good old America taxing my hard-earned dollars. Hey, Nick Macy. This board's going to need a wash. It's not the worst by any means, but it would be a good thing for it to have a bath. I'm just having to look around, make sure there isn't something else that I've missed. Alright, I think we're good. Sorry to hear you didn't get paid out this month, Coda. I just got my payment. I just got my payment today, actually, in the bank. A whole whopping, not very much, but it does add up, and it all contributes. If I could probably triple my YouTube income, I would actually be able to pay the mortgage off, as in each month. And that would be nice. Something to try and achieve. You claim tax treaty between the UK. I'm not sure. Yeah, we do have a treaty. I think I get taxed around about 30% as well. So I'm left with the 70% of whatever I supposedly earned on YouTube. And then of course I do have my Amazon. What am I doing? I'm treating this like a freaking... yeah, I don't know what I was doing there. I was treating this board like it was like a USB-C model, which obviously most definitely is not. Got me some of those fill bottles. They are great and easy to... Fill bottles? I'm not sure. What do you mean fill bottles? I'm confused now. What are fill bottles? I hate it when someone tells me something as if I have told them about it and I have no clue. So, sure, yeah, I totally know what you mean. Oh, the squirt bottles are these things. Right. Yeah. I thought that might have been what you were talking about, but I didn't want to be too presumptuous. Yeah, Jim, I get... So basically you lose 30% of your advertising-derived income. And then, of course, the fun thing is, at least here in Australia, you then, whatever's left behind, you then have to declare as your as income, and then from that you get your income tax taken out. So in the end of the day, you're probably lucky if you end up with half of whatever it is that you originally earned, as it were. Or worse if you're on a higher tax bracket. Commercials every 5 minutes, yeah, it might have to be. Okay, Okay, this thing's been knocked. I only just noticed this now. There it is. Okay, that is the little stud nut, whatever you want to call it, for the fan to screw into, so it's come off, so we'll have to fix that up. It must have been knocked at one point, because it's normally pretty difficult to get those things to come off. Hey Jim Allen, good morning. Streaming on Twitch. Nah, I don't know if I'm allowed to take my shirt off though. I'll have to check with Elita. She may forbade me from doing such lewd things. I could always play 7 Days to Die on Twitch, I guess. And then people can just absolutely rage at how badly I do it. I mean, Alita almost loses her head when I play. She has to constantly tell herself, just let him play, let him play, let him learn how to fail. Hey Corey Postma. Well, when it comes to tax, it really doesn't matter what's right, wrong, or should be, or is, or whatever. The fact is that under current situation, you have to pay. Okay, we've got our boot stick in there, we've got our chipmunk in there, chittering, ready to go. We're gonna, let's hit that. Ah, that's why the fan would have been making noises, because the fan was loose. Hey GrooverTube, welcome. Good to see you. A shame this is not coming up as it should. Okay, so we're told apparently it's a dead fuse as well, so maybe there was actually truth in that, and I should have paid more attention. Dead fuse, eh? Alrighty, let's have a looky-loo. What do you do for a living, GrooverTube? If you're allowed to disclose that. Obviously we don't expect people to reveal information that is not permitted. Unless it's board views and schematics, in which case you must. Hey Rilla. IT, work databases. Things are Oracle or other type things. I don't know why Oracle. I was going to ask if you do DBase, but then I'm not sure if you're that old. Or maybe you do AS400s. Or maybe you just do it in general. Okay, you do electronics in general. Cool. There's a lot of crossover with computing and electronics with people. You get an extra 300 quid a month from Twitch? Crikey. How do you do that? Jeez. What next? Selling your underwear in a vending machine? Didn't know you were that popular. Wonder if the windshield repair process that satellite or other places used would work on the tiny chips in the glass at the top edge. Unfortunately, I have lost whatever DJ was trying to say. Ad revenue and Prime subscriptions mainly. People pay to actually subscribe to you? Gah, the things I learned, the shock, the horror. Man, and I was bummed out about losing on 7 Days to Die with Horde Night just now. Because of a dumb mistake. It's always a dumb mistake. It's never smart zombies or anything, it's just dumb mistake. And now I find out that you're getting nearly 300 quid a month. That's almost 10 quid a day. And now I can't even get this board out. Fantastic. See what you did? You made me spasm. Might start making videos on fixing CVs. You know what? That actually probably would be more likely to gather an audience than this stuff. Oh, right. I don't use Twitch simply because I just don't use Twitch. I have no actual... yeah. Mind you, I thought that they required exclusivity. Maybe I misinterpreted that too. Alright, so we've got to find our backlight section, which I should know. Now, come to think of it, actually, I almost never deal with the backlight on the 3332, so here I am looking for the typical backlight caps, but I may have to go to board view and schematic to actually let myself know. Yeah, Jim, yeah, that one, you know why I don't, you know how I am. Payment for what I've done is one thing, payment for what I can do is another. And it's just not a psychological load I want to handle, but you know that and I'm just telling other people. They do, which is why I'm moonlighting and streaming. Ah, right, okay. Getting sly on the side. Okay, 3332, schematics. Pardon me, there's a big burp coming up. Let's see, 9,000. So the easiest way for me to find what I want is just to do that. Ah, right, that's where it is. Okay, I'm going to guess U9701 is the backlight. Yep, LP8550. Oh wow, it's an 8550. Okay, and do we have a fuse? I didn't really... Do we? Oh yeah, 9700. Alrighty. Just goes to show, even when you are working on a board many times, there is always new and exciting areas that you don't normally deal with. Okay, there we go. Alright, yeah, I can see someone's really gone to town on that fuse. I wonder what caused it to blow, though. That's the concern to me. That's it. Okay, that works. Let's see. You are genuinely blown, but why? So we don't actually know if this screen is good or not. We know the GPU is okay. We know U8900. We fixed that up just by default. So now we've got to find out why this fuse blew. Add to the fact that it's a Macbook spec fuse, which means to get it to blow often requires destroying other things. So we're going to pickle it up first. It would help if I turn on my station. I try to leave my soldering stations off now when I'm not using them because, yeah, they do have a idle temperature. I thought they would keep them at ambient, but apparently they keep them at slightly elevated temperature just to help them quickly come up to temperature, and that does shorten the life. Try not to melt the connector above. $200 on the hack override. Yeah, so that's a little high for me. Alright, so we've actually got an onboard short there. Or, unless that's just the capacitive. Just hang on. The trouble with these more advanced multimeters is that any charge on the rail can make it think it's got a short. Yeah, we actually don't have a short. That was a lie. It was just the capacitance storing energy. Alright, better get ourselves a replacement. Seems like we need a P fuse. I think that's a, shike. 3 amp fast flows. I think they're pretty sure it's 3 amp fast flow. Alright, that's an O fuse. I want a P fuse. Oh jeez, I've got so many in here. P fuses. The lettering denotes the what type of fuse it is, what rating it blows at. So that way you don't have to remember numbers or anything like that. You just replace like for like. Just get some proper leaded solder down there. Oops. That's a little bit too much solder on those pads. Yeah, these P fuses, I gotta admit, kind of look a little iffy. Oh no, they just don't have that beautiful clarity. means they'll probably do a better job because they'll blow sooner. Alright. So yeah, we've got to find out why that fuse blew. So the first thing we'll need to do is look at the screen cable and see if there's any wayward stuff on there. I'll kind of lift up the microscope a bit more, Paul. Thank you, sir. Connectors all look good there. Doesn't seem to be any indication of shorting out there. Doesn't mean it's not, though. Does not mean it's not. It could mean it's just happening further up. So what we'll do now is we'll check the backlight output over here and see what that's reading. What are we on? Continuity mode. That's this one here. Yep. So, you know, 1.3K. It's nothing too problematic. We'll plug the screen in and see if it takes a dive. Takes a dive. Yes, indeed. Like a West Ham soccer player. Or maybe it's Arsenal, but they usually just like to walk it in. If you need more money, you can always do drunk push-ups. Oof, that would mean I'd have to get drunk. Not a fan. Long since left the days of intoxication behind me. Very happy about that too. See you later, Phil. Enjoy the tip. Are you going to drop stuff off there, or are you picking up? Because quite frankly, both are generally applicable. Okay, locked in. Let's see if we have any more developments here. Alright, that makes no sense. That actually makes no sense. Yeah. When I plug that in, that should actually still read 1.3K. It's over limit maybe? It could be over limit, because I was on continuity mode. It's 50K. Well, it's hardly a short on there, so I'm not sure what's going on. It's the way to dox yourself being drunk. Well, I suppose there's always that risk. Yeah. Although I do a pretty good job of doxing myself no matter what. I mean, the fact that I actually have a business kind of inevitably doxing myself. People will be like, where can I send the job to? I can't tell you that. I'll dox myself if I reveal that information. I'm sorry, you just have to believe me, put it in the post and hope it gets here. Ach nee, man. To be fair, you know, I do, given that I work and live in such close proximity, that could be a bit of an issue. Oh, sodding keyboard again. Right. They're not as bad as the A2O 1700 boards, but by golly, these ones can really get me cranky. You know what, I don't know why I'm bothering with all this. We just simply need to see if it comes up at all with the backlight. Hey Harold, how's it going? Hey Keith McDermott. Oh, you're an Arsenal supporter. I don't know if I should let you stay here. Oops, something just fell out. Come on. Oh, I haven't got the keyboard connected, so now I actually have to wait. I can be a bit ballsy and lift it up, eh? Okay, we do not have a backlight. Alright, this is slightly intriguing. Sometimes when you don't get a backlight, it can actually be because the screen itself is not recognized. So let's pull up the voltage. Okay, 12 on one side, 12 on the other. So the fuse hasn't blown again, so we're okay on the fuse. And, oh crikey mate, it's a bit hard for me to see this. It's just a bit small. Come on. We've got nothing on output. Could be a few reasons. Okay, let's see if we're getting our enables and all that sort of stuff. At least the nice thing about this board is that all the backlight stuff is on the top, which is actually quite infrequent for these machines. Now, so schematics, we want the backlight enable. Let's see where that is. That is going to be those two resistors there. Let's go to quad mode. Make sure I actually got the right chip too. We have an enable signal, so it is being told to turn on. So we could have a dead, we either got a dead FET, MOSFET. Yeah, MOSFET or controller. I'll replace both at the same time. I prefer not to do an incremental one on these scenarios, because sometimes you replace the controller and the MOSFET's still dodgy, and then it kills the controller again, so you're back to square one. Hey Corey, yeah, I will consider I'll replace these first, it's easy enough. If we still don't have success, then yeah, I'll pop the clutch cover off and do a screen cable replacement. I might have to steal one from a 1502 or something, but yeah, we'll find one. Oh, what have I forgotten now? Yeah, I'm really curious as to what caused that fuse to blow, considering it wasn't the screen. So I can only imagine either the controller went or the MOSFET went, but either way it's a little peculiar. Can't always retrospectively diagnose these things, or rather you don't have enough time to. 3787, you gotta. Damn it, different backlight configuration. I'm just lazy. There's got to be a 333 in. Oh, here we go. Yep. Have you ever tried playing No Man's Sky? I know of the game, but I haven't played it, no. Wasn't it released with a great deal of fanfare, and then it was sort of like it didn't quite live up to the grand promise? Okay, I'm just going to take the parts off the original first. Otherwise I'll... yeah, anyway. Let's flick that down so we don't do too much damage. And unfortunately for us, that MOSFET is sitting under... a bit of edge goo. That's not a problem. Now you may be wondering why I don't also replace, say, the 9706 MOSFET, which is this one up here, and that's a good question. Yeah. I'll replace these two first because they're the ones that can like kill each other. This one here would basically just not give you any output. That's going to be a pain getting that out of there. I wonder if they've potted it like that because maybe that one has a tendency to sing. Singing inductors are very annoying. While we're waiting for that to heat up, I'm going to try and gain access to the MOSFET. I've melted the keyboard slightly. That's what I get for focusing on something that I shouldn't have. Alright, so that's the controller removed. MOSFET's proven a little bit more difficult to get off, the stuff around it rather. There we go. Hey Catherine, how's it going? Well, this, as usual, has turned into something that ended up being more than just the originally hoped condition, which of course is 100% entirely normal. Since when has anything ever gone according to plan? Not since the universe was created, and that didn't go to plan either. In fact, its creation probably was because something else didn't go to plan. Probably some cosmic being was taking their school project up the stairs, they slipped, and the goo fell down into the cracks of the stairwell, where there was a bunch of old rotten food, and through that, our universe was created. Hey, Nehemiah, good to see you. Oh, g'day, Jason. It's okay, Jason. We all have lives. How's that workbench going? Jason has a flashy new workbench. Complete with nice chipmunk pictures, like real chipmunks. From postcards. Oh, you're even in Gladstone. Cool. Travelling around. Yeah, I should have actually just done this controller this way in the first place. Hey, we're on stamps. And my alignment's off on that. Hopefully we'll get the chip to pull itself. No. No. Got itself into a bit of a hydro lock then. Not specifically water lock, but just what happens is because I push down, it can cause a bit of a vacuum pull on that center pad, and then once that sets in, it's too firm for the natural, what do you call it, tension, liquid tension. It's too strong for the liquid tension to be able to correct it. That's why there's a fine balance between giving a bit of a tap to get it to go where you want versus pushing it too hard and it actually locks itself. Let me interested to see if I can get this out. Oh wow, look at that. Tombstone, 3 resistors in one hit. That's a talent I don't really need. Just gonna put some flux down there. I'm a little bit worried about the amount of that bonding substances floating around. It shouldn't get under the MOSFET, but I just don't like the amount that's around. Kind of cooked that a bit long, to be honest. Hopefully that doesn't prove to be a mistake. I'm just going to cool off the board. Hey, James Lovelock. Alright, should be cooled off enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be ambient cool or anything like that, but as long as it's not roasting hot. You don't want to try to run your electronics while there's still 100 Celsius plus. That's generally a bad idea. You like to get it to around about the 60-70 mark before you consider applying power again. Mostly because in terms of design, that's typically where you're aiming for when you're trying to calculate how much heat sinking you're going to need and all that sort of stuff. because that lets you then run the equipment at a 40 centigrade ambient. And you should stay within the limits of the silicon. In theory. In theory. Alright, let's see how we go this time. You know what, there's really no point plugging anything in other than the screen. Doesn't look like we've got backlight. Oh yeah, wait, no we don't. It's front light. Damn. Well, could well be the cable then. That's a pain. Yeah, what would have been smarter is if I happened to have a 3332 chassis somewhere. I think maybe not. I actually can't remember, to be honest. 3787, that's not going to help us. I was kind of hoping I'd come back to that and see it flashing, but it's not. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember where I might have. I'm almost 100% certain, so let's call it 98, that I do have a 3332 chassis. It just may be in the other room, so please stand by. See, 1990, nope. It just looks like a 3332 because it's one of the rare silver 1990s. As in, most people don't buy 1990s or any of the new machines for that matter in silver by default. It's like, oh no, that's old fashioned. What have we got here? Hey, you guys look like 1466s. You're definitely nothing like a 1990. You are 1286s. $12.78. Well, how many 12.78s do I need on this planet? Looks like someone needs to do a purge. Big time. Ooh, maybe you were it. Oh geez, I've still got a screen here that I bought off Jim Hook. Not Jim Hook, sorry. I bought off Mr. I Scam You, Pedro, and I have as yet not used it. Haven't even unpacked it. Just one of those things that you go, oh, you know, I'll buy it, and I'm sure I'll use it sooner or later, and then that never really comes around. Alright, I think I've got a 3332 here. Gavani, welcome. You look, no, you are not a 3332. The battery's all wrong. What are you? What? Oh, you're 1398, but yeah, this is not a 3332 chassis though. You can tell because well, the main things are like the connector differences there and there, and then the position of the actual battery connector. That one's central, whereas these are offset. You know, maybe I should start writing on these on the outside what the actual model code is, and that way then at least I can just quickly grab it and go, oh yeah, you know, that's what that one is. Yeah, it's another one of the same. Maybe I don't have a 3332 after all this. It was all deluded. But I could have sworn I did have one, because I remember yielding and providing the 820332 board to placate a rather problematic customer who wasn't even my customer. That actually burned me in more ways than I care to admit, and made me quite irritated. Okay, I think we've got one here. Yeah, here it is. There we go. That's a 3332. And this time I'll actually write on the chassis. I'll say this is a 3332 chassis. Okay, DJ. Drunk Rossman plays music too loud. Well, that is Drunk Rossman now, isn't it? I mean, it's Lewis. Right, let's see if we can do this without actually putting it into the chassis. It's a bit of a tightness, like that. Yep, we got a backlight. Okay, so it's a screen cable fault. Well, let this be a lesson to you. If you do have donor chassis or anything like that, keep them handy. Funnily enough, this one was somewhat handy. And mark on them. If they are donor chassis, just mark on them that they are for that particular model. Yeah, we should get a blinking folder in about 30 seconds or less. Hello, Sue James. Welcome. There we go. Yeah. So we have a cable issue, which, as I think it was Corey Postma mentioned, is not too uncommon on these. I guess what if I had to say I was tossed by a red herring, it would be because the fuse blew. And I wanted to verify that the drive electronics were okay. And you know what? It could well be that the driving electronics were still faulty as well, but the cable was an issue. So, okay. You know what's crazy is I do not even remember that sticker being present. Like, I've had this for so long, but I have no recollection of that sticker being present. So, anyway, let me now mark this with a rather non-removable adhesive. Quite a few scribers. Interesting, Jen. Not sure why, but oh well, I'm glad to have done so. So it's an 82, can't write. 823332 model. And basically it's the only one I don't think any others actually match or work with this, so I might just write on here as well. 8202. And then should the two ever be separated, I will know that they belong to each other. Right. So now we're going to do a cable replacement on that existing chassis. Fortunately, that is not a major drama on these ones. It's somewhat amazingly easy, really, compared to a lot of the other models. Like even the 1466s are considerably more annoying to replace. These and the 1502s are probably the simplest screens to replace, even more so than things like the 1278s, 1286s, because with those ones you've got to get the Wi-Fi assemblies, all this sort of gear that's hanging out over here, and the DVD assembly, you've got to get that off. Whereas with these ones, you essentially just have the 6 hinge screws. There's a couple of little guides on the side that you have to take off too. Cracky, that was required more strength than I thought I had for a second then. I have to go out and do some training on my wrists. Yeah, that is actually exceptionally difficult to get off those. Let's see. Glasses, alsjeblieft. Glasses. Danke. Okay, we take off these little side pieces. They just sort of stop the whole assembly sliding left or right. Hey Kenny. Okay, I don't need to take those out. Alright, so maybe the more precarious part is getting it to pop out. I probably should have left one screw into the hinges, but as long as they don't drift too much, it'll be okay. You just got to keep gently getting it back. It's a very close fit. We're talking about 1/4 millimeter or so leeway either way. Okay, so that's that, and now we've got to slide the clutch cover off. Again, amazingly, just got to find the right point. There we go. There are, at the end of the clutch covers, 2 little plastic end stops, and it looks like you break them, but you don't really. They just happen to look that way. Just don't lose them, because you do need to put them back on. And this is our cable assembly. It's holding by a bit of tape, amongst a few other things. And just peel that tape back. Cracky, I do hope I happen to have some spares on hand. Usually I do. It'd be just my luck though, on a stream tonight, that I don't. Now hopefully the screen is not buggered, because even though they said that they tested the screen, remember, it wasn't them actually testing the screen, it was them testing the GPU by connecting it to an external device. It's not the same as testing the screen. Dun, dun, dun. Need a Phillips. We've got to take this here as a Wi-Fi antenna bar. We kind of need to get it off so that we can lift it up, and then we'll gain access to the cable down here. Thank you, JCT. And JCT actually means please, not police. Not unless you've got a funny accent. Okay, we don't need to do them all, we just... Okay, I can see there's liquid damage on that. Oh yeah, oh no. Ooh. This is not good. This is not good because the... Damn it. Why does it have to happen to me like this? Always this way. These screens are extremely expensive. More expensive than probably most of the modern ones. And this has definitely got extensive liquid damage on it. And it has burned the living daylights out. You see that? Now if we're really, really lucky, we can actually remove that. And that's going to... It's always it's a fun thing to do. And when I say fun, I mean it makes you clench your butt cheeks really hard for a few minutes while you do it. Okay. Fortunately, it's not the first time I've done one of these. So what we have to do is replace this connector. It's as simple as that. And hope that it is not a damaged screen. So we're just hoping that we can just get away with replacing that connector and replacing the cable. My luck lately though would tend to mean it's probably not going to be letting me get away with that so easily. Alright, so the first thing that a lot of people think is, hey, just hot air it off and all that, but you see you've got this, that's the screen right there, and you've got this rubber seal here and all that sort of stuff. So what I like to do is I pickle it with leaded, and often I will slide a blade under there, and that helps me lift that up progressively. Okay, looks like I'm going to need some more room, shift things around so it suits me, and use very little flux. Normally, I like to use a reasonable amount of flux, but for this, I don't want anything really risking getting anywhere. Okay. Hey, Greg. We're going to use the big chisel. See, the other problem is, under that bottom strap of the connector, that's all soldered too. The upside though is that this is a fairly thin circuit board, so it's not going to have quite the difficulty of removal of a normal MacBook board. Okay. Anyway, enough talking, Paul. Start doing. Hey Scott L, welcome. Okay, let's see if I can get a start under there. I'm going to have to use something a little more forcible to get up. I don't care to do it this way too often, but there we go. Because you do run the risk of... you naturally run the risk of pulling pads doing this. By pulling up stuff. There we go. That cloth is annoying me. So I'm going to use some fake Captain tape to hold it down. This is not real Captain tape. I'm not that rich. Hey, creature. I might actually just go up and pickle all of those pins Yeah, something's stalling me, other than fear. Here's hoping I haven't actually lifted anything. We did pretty good. Definitely, I do not recommend doing that sort of thing unless you really do already have a feel for how your tools will behave or what to expect when sliding a metal tool under there, because otherwise it is extremely easy to lose those pads. I mean, really, really easy. This is one of the few times I will in fact use the soldering iron directly on the pad. It's with the wick. It's not my preferred technique, but I'm just going very lightly over them. No scrubbing, no nothing like that, just let it find its own way. Ah, now we've got another one on there. A new one, a better one. One that might work. Okay, and for once in our life, I think that's the right one. Should check before I put it down. Yep. For once in my life, that connector is actually appropriate for the task at hand. Because as you know, usually I'm complaining that this batch of connectors I have, because they don't have the plastic keying pin, it's a nuisance. But in this particular case, this is for the screen, there's no plastic keying pin down on the bottom, so this is actually the right thing for the job. And let's hope I don't botch this up. You know what? I might just tack down a couple of pins. Somehow or another I tacked down a couple of pins and I managed to go skewed. There we go. It's really not a lot of tacking there, it's barely enough. And it's just so that I can come over here okay, it's one end. Different people do this differently, and that's all good and great. Like I said, just find the way that works for you and ignore everyone else. Again, like I said, there is not a finished job. These are just tacks, like little tack welds, and you can come back and make them look pretty later once you've actually done the job. Hey DeAndre. This is the awkward part, because you've got to lean over the screen a lot. Oh, that, or you got to find a way of soldering backwards. But anyway. Yeah, I like to just pretty much... what's going on here? Wrong tip, maybe? Itty bitty little bit of flux, not much. No, you know what? That is the tip I normally use. They're not all going to work properly first up. That's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to... For this, I'm actually having to reduce the air down to about 120. And as an added precaution, I'm going to put a metal shield down. As you can tell, I'm really not wanting to truck this up. Yeah, this is actually aluminium tape, which funnily enough is meant to be for a model aircraft I was doing, but that never happened. So we've got our assistive heat coming up. And I'm going to need a little more flux than that. I'm trying to be very sparing with it, but I am going to need more. I want that blob to run down the back there. It's easier to get pedantic now and get it right than it is to botch it up later and try to fix it. Yeah, those ones on the right are okay, they have enough flux, but the middle and the back are not yet there. If you're wondering how they do this normally, this board is usually pre-assembled with the connector before it actually meets the screen. Struggling a little bit to get down here, but we'll get there. Oh, sorry about the focus. I mean, you can be a little bit more cowboyish on the main boards. You know, you see me when I'm working on them. I don't quite get this paranoid pedantic, but like I said, I see mistakes like that. Okay, the pins are in. Now we've got to clean up the dags and things like that. You allowed to say dags? Okay, we've just got a bridge to deal with and we should be good. Believe me, I do want to flood it with flux. Normally this process is done with quite a bit of flux, but that is a non-option. my syringe is just, the tip of it's just too big. Ah, finally. Alright, there's a teeny tiny dag here on the ground pin. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to really rein that in without causing more drama. No, see, I mushed it. I didn't actually reflow that solder. That solder just got mushed. I am definitely being overly pedantic here, but like I said, if you butcher this screen, then that's several jobs worth of profit down the drain. Dagger in the middle pin. Oh yeah, Dunker. Thanks for that, creature. See if I can use the heel. They're all the ground pins that do it. Yeah, not perfect, but I think I'm going to have to accept that one. Yeah, DeAndre, 2015 A1502 screens and 1398s are absurdly expensive. Just crazy expensive. I've got a job in here at the moment. It's a, well, that was loud. It's a 2015 1502. And I got the board running and everything, and then when I booted it, it's got this colossal crack through the middle, and I'm like, right, this is the sort of crap that I don't need happening. Because what the problem now is going to be is the customer is going to, rightly or wrongly, state that it was not cracked. And incidentally, this will be a business-to-business job. It's not actually a direct customer job. We're just reflowing and making that connecting nice. Just soaking the heat in until you can see that solder wick out. Yeah, so the customer's going to be saying, well, it wasn't broken when I last checked it. And the company that took it, the job, not me, the other one, they're going to be like, well, we didn't do anything to it, we just sent it off. And me, I'm going to be like, well, I didn't do anything, I just received it and repaired it and then found out that the screen was botched. So you can see there's going to be a bit of a problem. At best I can tell, it was damaged prior to even being handed over. It just sort of has the look of a screen that has been damaged for some time. There's a fair amount of wicking of the LCD. Tactical Banana, the fact that they're retina screens, and yeah, they're relative rarity. And yeah, no one's manufacturing anything to replace them, so each one that dies is one less in the market. Okay. Right. I suppose I should actually check to see that this little connector is actually the backlight connector. And unfortunately, it's perfectly okay. Hallelujah. Okay, we'll just plug that back in. There's no point trying to really do much of a cleanup on this. I mean, you can do a little bit, but don't go crazy with it, because the viscosity of the alcohol that you're going to use is so low that it can very easily wick into areas you don't want it to go. So you just, if you're going to do it, just a damp cloth, damp earbud or something like that. Nothing that it goes all wet where you press it. Like, what I mean is, like, it doesn't pool out or anything like that. I mean, yeah, sure, 100% alcohol, 99.98, whatever I've got. Obviously not 100%. That'd be anhydrous alcohol. Um, it does evaporate off very quickly, but it still can be around long enough that it can drag contaminants into the LCD panel just by being a solvent and then the fact that it wicks down. Yeah, I do that too, Jason. The trouble I get is that, um, yeah, for things like a screen break on a retina screen, it's the sort of thing that, well, as you know, you can't really see it until it powers up. And there was no way for me to power it up until I fixed the board. So it was a bit of a trap situation for me. The retina screens, no, they're actually higher than 1080p. What are these? These are... Oh, they're much higher than that. Certainly at least 1440 or more. Now I have to Google that. Let's see. Macbook A1398 screen resolution. 2880 by 1800. Oh, you're referring to your Toshiba, right? Okay, sorry about that, Miles. But anyway, you can see why the Retina screens are so stupidly expensive, because they are an impressive screen, particularly considering the time in which they... Yeah, this is 2012. That's a very impressive screen resolution for that time. So clean out these gouges here. Just, they get dust in them. Can't do that one, unfortunately. They get dust in them and it grinds and then can sometimes cause breakages. Now, we have to get a replacement one of those. Good question as to whether I have one or not. I'm going to find out. Worst case scenario, I'll snare one from a broken 1502. Alright, lucky me. I actually thought ahead and had some. Very lucky me. Huh. Except I was kind of turning that the wrong way. Right, there we go. That's how it's got to be. Hinge there. Cable there. Got it. Hey, Michael. Tactical Banana, yes, you're quite right. There is definitely there's a quality about the screens. Without question. Yeah, I know a lot of people sort of mock Apple for a lot of things, but when it comes to screen quality, and particularly for the fact that they also do it as a gloss screen, just to add insult to injury to their competitors, and they still manage to make it such a great looking thing. So yeah, I mean, you know, I like my Linux, I like my PCs and everything like that, but for general runaround computing or Well, basically everything I try to use Mac gear now, simply because it just seems to be, the quality of the image is better, all that sort of stuff. I'm much happier with it, although I will still run Linux on it. I haven't had the opportunity to truly try a good large screen OLED. I don't think my 4K TV in the lounge room counts. It's a good TV, but I don't think it's a comparable item. But even at standard resolutions like the 21-inch Macs, 13, 2015 onwards, with their 1080 quality, their 1080 quality, just everything still feels much nicer than, say, the screens I have in front of me, which are also 1080, 22-inch, and there's just no comparison. If you said to me, would you rather work all day in front of an iMac screen or a PC screen? I pretty much always say an iMac screen. And I'm sure you can get glossy PC screens or standard screens, but never really cared much for those. Alrighty, now Paul has to decide if he's been in. Oh, there he is. I was trying to decide if I was an idiot just then. Hey, Shad. I think the other factor is, though, that when you're buying a PC screens, unless you pay, and that's what it comes down to, isn't it? Unless you really pay through the nose for a high-grade screen, then yeah, it's going to look worse than the iMac screen, but that's because the iMac one was a high-grade screen in the first place, which hence part of the extreme cost of Apple gear. So, shock horror, you do get what you pay for. That, the blown one, is going straight into the rubbish bin, because you do not want to accidentally put that onto something else, resulting in a less than desirable outcome. Now what we'll do while we're here is we tighten up these screws as well, because if you ever get the floppy hinge problem, or just not so much the loose hinge, but if you get the one where it sort of wobbles around a bit, it's because these 4 screws here have a tendency to just over time unravel themselves. Don't know what you're missing out on, Paul. If you get a chance to check out new QD OLED's 1000-bit nits brightness, full RGB, no more RBGW. Well, yeah, I mean, you can get it, but that's what I'm saying. It's like I haven't got a comparison at this point. The only trouble, though, with the OLED, of course, is the aging. So have they resolved that much yet? Or do they kind of factor it in by applying a time-based color map or something like that where it adjusts according to the age of the screen? Because your blue OLED is going to fade out over time, it's just the nature of OLED. I mean, it's certainly much better than it was, but it's still going to happen. There we go, locked in. I'm not talking about burn-in. No, I'm not talking about burn-in. I'm talking about fading. Blue OLEDs will fade out over time. It's, that's the biggest sort of issue that OLED faced. I'm not referring to burn-in. Alright, so this is the bit of the tricky stuff. You got to get that little doobie dacker back in there. Now the trick with these ones is you've got to get that notch at the back down first. Once you've got that notch down underneath the clutch cover, you can just add a bit of force onto the front here and pop, there she goes. Still, I suppose if you're a professional, you would probably get your screens replaced every 12 to 18 months. Yeah, if you're doing, if color matching and stuff like that was paramount to your work. Okay, it looks like I've got to slide the clutch cover up a little more. There we go. So it's captured in the back like that. Come around to the front, give it a bit of a push, and away we go. Creature, I have got several boxes of filthy hairy swabs. I'm fine with them. I just got to remind myself to clear up my hairiness. It's all good. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Textralian, you suffered rupture from diverticulitis. Okay, I'm not sure what part of the body suffers that inflammation, but it sounds like something that, yes indeed, I could agree, you're fortunate to be alive. Alright, when we reattach the screen back onto the hinges and all that sort of stuff, you do want to put one hinge screw in each side, because if you lay it down dead flat, then you may find it a bit difficult to fold the hinges down manually, and you may cause it to crack. And as you can tell from all my precaution, it's not a screen worth risking on that. You don't need to replace the screen every 12-18 minutes. You only need to recalibrate. That's fine. That's all. I guess what I was saying is, like, if it was an issue that couldn't be calibrated out or dealt with, then yeah, if you're in that sort of profession, you would just go and replace the screen anyway. Okay, so we've got the one screw in each, and see it just folds down very nicely. Most of the time you'll get the alignment right. Okay, that's a little bit, the screen's a little bit forward on that. That's fine. At this point you can then loosen the screws, line it up like that, hold on to the screen and the chassis, and just once again nip up the screws, and that should be all nicely lined up. Excellent. Alright, so now this is really the proof of the pudding. We have to connect the board and see if we actually get an output. It's a genetic disorder where the colon gets ballooned out. Oh, yeah. Yep. I actually know of such things, and I am very sorry to hear that you have to endure that, because that is far from pleasant. Okay, let's flip up the screen. Now remember, we're just looking for a blinking folder here, nothing more. I could probably tell easier if I just flip up the screen, but where's the anticipation in that? Didn't test the screen before reassembly. Well, no, because if the screen's dead, then it's dead. I probably should have, but yeah, it's a statistical sort of thing. It's a bit like, do you test everything before you, after you've washed the board, after you've tested the board, you've washed it, you reassemble it, put it back into the chassis, what, it's up to, I guess, the individual. It's going to bite me in the ass now. Yep, look at that. It's going to bite me in the backside. Fantastic. Looks like the board took a little more damage than we wanted. So that pretty much kills this job. Oh no, I've got a backlight. No, I've got a backlight. But for some reason I don't have a blinking folder. Blinking now. But I do have a backlight. Which kind of is sadder. So what's likely happened is maybe... Yeah, we're just not getting data now. Okay. What may have happened is that, sure, we've got backlight back. Backlight's back. Anyway. But comms are dead for some reason. To the screen. Ach, niemand. I do not like using tweezers to flip up those cable connectors. So what we'll do is we'll ascertain whether it's just... No, we've already tested that. That actually does come up. Yeah, I do have a tester screen. Yeah, we did test it before, and with this board, it comes up the folder. Maybe it wasn't connected properly. Maybe people should just not mention things like it's a dud PCH, or it's a dead CPU, or the NAND's dead, or the screen hasn't been tested. Yeah, I swear at times these people invoke the universe, the law of the universe or something, to attack me on stream because it's live. Yeah, if this was a recorded session, I'd just edit that out and get another computer and say, look, it worked. But no, it's live. Of course it's live. Everyone gets to see. That's always the risk you take. New BIOS, black screen, stupid somehow. They'll... Okay, so that's dropped in. Let's try that. It is entirely possible that this flex was no good. Yeah, just because you buy it doesn't mean it's actually a working one, which brings us back to the same old problem that was just mentioned, that we should test it before we reassembled it. But it's not that common for them to not work after that sort of thing. Mind you, we did have to do a screen connector replacement, so I guess I was pushing my luck a little. Okay, what's going on down here? APR. Yeah, that's... These connectors are a bit of a jam down here. Okay, there we go. It's in. You have another board to put there. It says, I do not now because I used up my last one helping someone else out. So I no longer have a known working 3332 on hand. Would have been nice if I did, but I don't in this instance. But like I said, we did put this board into another chassis, and that chassis showed that the board was working. Anyway, let's see how we go. We do have keyboard connected, so I'm going to hold down Option. Yep, the farting speakers. Yeah, we got a oh, there we go. Oh, I wonder why it didn't come up with the flashing folder before. Interesting. Anyone here in ham operator? Hey, Mick. I wanted to be a ham operator, but I couldn't do Morse code, so I failed. And add to that, valves just freak me out for some reason. I know it's a very, how do you say, weird thing, but yeah, valves freak me out. And back then, we're talking 1980s, You had to know everything about valves. You had to be able to build your own little 1 watt CW transmitter for, geez, I can't even remember what band it was. I think it was 1.14 megahertz or something like that. And I was just like, no thanks. Yeah, I'd like to know though why it didn't come up with a flashing folder. Maybe there was just something not quite pressed in right when I did it around the corner like that, instead of putting it in the full assembly. Creature only operates ham at Christmas, usually with... Oh, funny. I do know that the requirements for getting a ham license have reduced quite a bit since the 1980s. You don't even have to do Morse code anymore. And I'm sure they've probably revised the exam to be somewhat more modern. Did you manage to upgrade to 2204 LTS? Not yet, not on my main one, no. This one is 2204, but it's not the... Okay, what am I after that? No, that was the speaker. Let's go full brightness. The screen's a little dim, but it's okay. Alright, well, it appears we now have actually fixed that after a rather protracted process, which has taken me to past midnight, unfortunately. And this is what I mean about the fact that I really can't do these too many times, because it does use up a lot of time talking and doing this. I mean, I like doing this. I like, having the live streams, but I do have to be mindful of my commitments to my business customers, or my customers really, to ensure that their jobs are done. You always go for limited ham, no more is necessary. Yeah. I'm kind of curious though as to what the exam is like these days. That said, I don't have any ham equipment, and with my god-awful hearing, I'll probably... Okay, so we're doing 26 frames per second, and we don't even have the battery plugged in, so let's plug that battery in. Pop. Yes, you can actually do that. And we're up to 60 frames per second, which is much better. Temperatures are all pretty good, considering I've only got one fan running. There. So, we've got a win. Excellent. Shut this down. Shut this down, and then I can go and get some food, sit down, try and come up with a new strategy for 7 days to die, so that I don't die every 7 days. Yeah, fun stuff like that. And that's it. Okay, well, thank you very much for being here tonight, for watching me fix this 2012 MacBook. And these MacBooks are still very popular, so yeah, this is the sort of thing. You send it in to get fixed, this is the sort of thing that happens. Alright, I'm out of here. You all take care. I'll catch you next time, whenever that may be. Until then, see you later.